doing, the stuff that I'm doing and I'm saying online, and love the fact, look, I got money, I got my songs. I could go off and just go to, Hawaii and live a nice life. That means that God has called me to sacrifice all of that in order to bring the truth. That's what I'm saying. They don't cut my check. You listen to people that's getting their check cut by Jewish media. George Soros, come and meet with me directly. I told you, you ain't gonna send none of these people that you usually see doing the stuff that I'm doing. And I'm
Call hello, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well over the flock, and shalom and salutation to you brothers out here that's pushing the words of truth and sincerity, the sincere Akim and Aqua, shalom. We at it again. Yeezy at it again. And as this man just stated, he just pointing out the obvious, which is the media who controls that. If you type in 6 companies control all media, you'll find out. If you type in Jewish ties to Hollywood or something like that, you'll find out. I mean, we talking about Hollywood here. It's been known that they was ran by Amalek. Amalek in the Bible, by the way, is one of the sons of children, offspring, or families of Esau. Rather, families of Esau. And the true Israelites went to war with them many times. So we understanding and believing and knowing that we the true biblical Israelites just in a sleep state, just in a state of sleep, pretty much the majority of our people, except the ones that's woken up. We understand that Amalek, who is so-called Jewish people today, are indeed imposters. They don't want anybody to do any research. They don't want our people to figure this thing out because it just exposes them. You figuring out yourself is in the way of their deeds and their plan and their their devices. All right, the scriptures say, "Be not ignorant of Satan's devices." So when a man like Kanye, Ye, when he starts speaking up on Amalek's devices, which many of our people already know, especially Israelites, come on now. I mean, even the NOI, the Nation of Islam, speak about that. Farrakhan and them speak about that. And Shot-Town is heavy with the Nation of Islam. That's that's where Farrakhan, that's where a lot of that is. And so he talked to him. They already know about Jews ran media, but the media is such a tight-knit group that how is this getting out? And how, more importantly, how are one of their quote-unquote celebrities, exposing all of this right in front of, the world? And and it happens to be that he's a billionaire, right? He's not just somebody that they could wash up in a hit and run at Waffle House. He a billionaire. But what are they saying? What's the average person saying about Kanye right now? It's like half and half. A lot of people are supporting him. You can see the likes is 152, the dislikes is 73. If you take a temperature check at how the people relating to Yeezy, they're gonna tell you. They with it. A lot of people who understand what's going on, the big monopoly over media, monopoly over Hollywood, monopoly over television, and they tired of it. That's where you pushing LGB. That's where you pushing all of this pride, all of this confusion. All right, and that's why Babylon have been a golden cup in the nation's hand, and they have made the nations to drink, and they are mad. The scripture said they are mad. They shall hate the whore. All right, America is that whore. All right, because who does America? What is the only welfare state that America pays all of this money to? It's mainly Israel. For what? When has Israel ever defended, the state of Israel ever defended America in a war or proved themselves? No, but that money gets deposited, that check deposited every so often into their accounts for their military, for their livelihood, for their fight over there on that land. And so you can see it point blank period. But you know what they're telling Yeezy? You know what they're telling Ye? Is he needs to be on their meds. This is one of the comments I've seen. He needs to get on his meds. Little do you know how many times in the scripture, see, because what the man actually said, let's take it from his own words. He said, God is using me to do this and expose this, and God is using me. Okay, hey, you know what? To be honest, the Most High, Yahweh, he going to use whoever he got in need to use. You see, the nations are nothing but his tools. You know, he said, thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. Okay, he said to the Assyrians, O rod of mine anger. He's appointed Cyrus, all right, to lead Israel back to, and to help them rebuild back a temple. A Persian king, Cyrus. And so the Most High will use the heathen and an Israelite alike to do his bidding. A believer and a non-believer alike. Okay? It's all under his order of things. Everything's controlled. It's all fate. So furthermore, if these same people took an account of what's in the scriptures, they wouldn't be talking about get on your meds. And I understand there's certain situations in which, I guess, according to trying to live in the perverted world and not make any sense of it. And when you start to make sense of it, then they want to put you on meds. That's ridiculous. How about you change? How about fix the world? How about fix the issue? How about fix the problem that's causing all of these people to need meds? Need meds? You think the Most High's world, this creative, beautiful world that has all types of beautiful creatures in it, fruit, vegetable, it nourishes you, perfect levels of oxygen so you could breathe. Do you think that this world was created so that you could need meds just to get through it? Men were living to 969 and 930 years old. Did they need meds though? All right, and let's get some scriptures that prove that if they think meds is the answer, what would they think of these situations? If they think Kanye need meds, what they think the Most High need? In the book of Genesis 22 and 1, for the sake of time, I'm just going to read the NAS version. We always, the most important version, or closest version to the actual Hebrew and the Greek would be the King James. But for the sake of time, Genesis 22. Now it came about after these things that Yahweh tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham, and he said, here I am. Then he said, take now your son, your only son, whom you love. And that's one of the main reasons why they're going to tell you need meds. You got to be careful when you're talking to your doctors and your site, Jake. When you're talking to your doctors and your therapists and all of this that you caught up in, Jake, you got to be careful. Furthermore, they're not telling you the truth. They're not here for your truth. They're here to profit off of injecting you with something or making you pop a pill to come back and get these companies paid. It's a racket. It's called Big Pharma. Look it up. All right? It says, take now your son, your only, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I will tell you. So Abraham got up early in the morning and saddled his donkey and took two of his young men with him and his son Isaac, and he split the wood with the burnt offering and set out and went to the place which Yahweh had told him. On the third day, Abraham raised his eyes and saw a place from the distance. Then Abraham said to his young men, stay here with the donkey, and I and the boy will go over there, and we will worship and return to you. And Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and laid it on his son Isaac, and he took his hand and in his hand the fire and the knife, and the two of them walked together. And Isaac spoke to his father Abraham and said, my father, and he took it. And he said, here I am, my son. And he said, look, the fire and the wood, but where's the lamb for the burnt offering? Abraham said, Yahweh will provide for himself the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. So the two of them walked together. Did Abraham need? What happened if Abraham was on meds? Come on, it's a crazy idea to even, but let's humor me a little bit. Abraham takes the meds, he don't hear the Most High no more. Wouldn't it seem that the meds will be spiritual blockers in this case? Wouldn't it seem that Abraham wouldn't be tested properly, or he wouldn't pass the test from the Father? Wouldn't all of us, as the progenitors of Abraham who received the covenant, all the way through to his grandson Isaac and Jacob, who received the covenant so that we can come back and return back to the Lord because he promised, right? Wouldn't all of that be wiped away and had never happened if Abraham hypothetically was on some spiritual inhibiting meds ain't the answer for everything, Jake. Meds is not the answer. You got a lot of so-called clinical therapists diagnosing young people today, and you know what they're saying? They're telling the parents, leave them alone, let them choose to be whatever gender, sexuality they want to be. A lot of this conversation is even started and began by the people who have the whole offices and positions called PhD and MDs, medical doctors, clinical doctors. It's these people that's pushing this agenda and this narrative that children could choose genders, and there's multiple genders. Over 25. New York City alone, back in 2017, put out an article that they accept and recognize over 33 different genders. That was 2017. How much more now? It's the therapists pushing this doctrine. And so that's the person that you want to diagnose you? You ever heard of a misdiagnosis? From a misdiagnosis, your whole life can be over, because now you popping something that ain't got, and that's what Jake do every day. Even the Jake that don't go to the hospitals and the doctors. Let's say you just by yourself. Jake like the diagnosis. He said, well, I'm just crazy. Well, I'm just bipolar. I'm just this. Look, man. The scriptures tell you that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and spiritual wickedness in the high places. Our weapons of warfare are not carnal, but we use them to cast down strongholds. We use His word and His truth to cast down strongholds. The scriptures tell you the truth shall set you free. You see, and the Lord said, these type of things cannot be obtained except for a prayer and fasting. Certain things, certain demons, you got to fast on. And what are we talking about when you're dealing with bipolar and the things that they diagnose people with a lot? Bipolar. Hell, do you talking about demons? Even dealing with LGBT and all of that, that's a demon. You sit down with so-called Zio, who's Dwayne Wade's son, he's been transitioning into his daughter now. All right, that's demons. That's demons. Multiple. Which there's such a thing as casting out demons. The Lord did it. Peter did it. Men have done it. In the scriptures, even refers to men who couldn't do it, who couldn't exorcise demons, demonic forces. So before you jump down your doctor's throat, all right, to tell you about your mind, I mean, if he's over here telling you about, hey, look, you have gout, we need to, all right, understand. Now you got to take the right prescriptions and things like that. Whatever, you might just ask for the herbal, you might just ask for the herbal remedies instead of jumping all over the pharmaceutical industry, which came from Rockefeller. It came from a monopoly of oil-based pharmaceuticals. And then they'll flip it around. Well, these guys are crazy. Yo, well, then let me be free on that crazy stuff. If this is crazy, I'll stay in the confines of what you call crazy, because the truth shall set you free, man. It says, my father, and he said, here I am, my son, and he said, look, in the fire, right? So Abraham places his son, as the story goes, on the altar, and that's when the Lord stops him and tells him that he passed the test, basically. Verse 10, and Abraham reached out his hand, and he took his knife to slaughter his son. But the angel of the Lord called him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, here I am. He said, do not reach out your hand against the boy, and do not do anything to him. For now I know that you fear Yahweh, since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. Some things seem crazy, and then you're vindicated, justified, and it's rectified because the Most High needed to see your faith. What he did was test Abraham's faith. Do you believe in me? This is going to sound crazy. I'm going to ask you to sacrifice your son, but do you believe in me? Furthermore, did not Yahweh himself sacrifice his first begotten, Yahushua, so that we can have remission of sins? It was a foretelling, a foreshadowing of events to come. That's how the scriptures work. That's the beauty of the scriptures. Old events predicting new events. Reincarnation, events happening over again. There's nothing new under the sun. A foreshadowing of things to come. And instead of trying to wrap your mind around why would God do, you're not in his shoes. You can never fulfill him. Right? You can't even understand the earthly matters, how much more so celestial matters, things that involve the Most High and his ways of thinking. Whatever he has given his men to be able to understand, that is more than enough than what needs to be understood at this moment in time. You do not have to figure out the temperature in the next universe to make it to the kingdom of heaven. You have to stay in your lane to make it into the kingdom of heaven. All right. What else happened in the scriptures that they would consider this person to need meds? 2 Kings 2. Let's say what happened to Elisha, the prophet. Verse 23, and he went up from thence unto Bethel. And as he was going up by the way, there came forth little children out of the city and mocked him, and said unto him, Go up, thou bald head. Go up, thou bald head. So they mocked him. They laughing at they call him a baldy. And he turned back and looked on them and cursed them in the name of the Lord. And there came forth 2 she-bears out of the wood and tear 42 children out of them. And he went from thence to Mount Carmel, and from thence he returned to Samaria. Was he off his meds? Was Elisha off his meds for cursing these children and causing the 2 bears to come and maul them all to death, 42 of them? Was he off his meds? Did he need meds? What would you doctors have prescribed Elisha? You see how crazy and weird this is? Do you really have to go to your enemies for the want of all things, or you just going to your enemies because you confused and you think that your enemies got all the answers? How about this? Your enemies do not have all the answers. Start there, Jacob. Start there, Israel. Start there. Take a look at the list of all the things you go to your enemies for and ask yourself, why do you still go to your enemies for this? There's herbs out there. There's exercise. There's diet and exercise. There's a diet law in the scriptures. There's a ceremonial laws in the scriptures. There's customary and civil laws in the scriptures on how we're supposed to deal with each other. Go through the list of all the laws and then ask yourself why do you still need to go to Esau for this? Why do you need to go to Esau for medicine and for pharmaceuticals? Why? Why do you need Esau to diagnose you when you have the prophets of the Lord telling you what's going on in this world? Why do you think that you're so crazy when the richest black man in American history, which I could believe that, Kanye, because, them Yeezys was off the chain selling. But either way, why would you believe that, he needs to go back to Esau for correction, like Esau gonna do him right? Yeah, we got the perfect medicine for you now. And Muhammad Ali also spoke up a lot. You think they was gonna give him the right medicine to make his Parkinson's or whatever that is to go away? They probably amplified it. The scriptures tell you he is a physician of no value. I know a lot of brothers rejoice just now because they were like, yeah, that's the one I was. He is a physician of no value. So that means he's going to hurt you. That Hippocratic oath, throw it in the Hippocratic garbage because it's not a reality no more. We've seen that all 2020. I digress. Let's keep going. Would they say all of these men are crazy? Let's deal with Balaam. Numbers 22 and 21. Balaam got up in the morning, saddled his donkey, and went with the Moabite officials. But Yahweh was very angry. When he went, and the angel of the Lord stood in the road to oppose him, Balaam was riding on his donkey, and his 2 servants were with him. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road, with the drawn sword in his hand, it turned off the road and into the field. Balaam beat it to get it back on the road. Then the angel of the Lord stood in a narrow path through the vineyards, with walls on both sides. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, it pressed close to the wall, crushing Balaam's foot against it. So he beat the donkey again. Then the angel of the Lord moved on ahead and stood in a narrow place where there was no room to turn, either to the right or to the left. The donkey is seeing the angel of the Lord that Balaam cannot see. That's what's going on. The donkey's afraid of it, but Balaam doesn't know. Verse 27, when the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, it lay down under Balaam and was angry and beat it. And he was angry and beat it with his staff. And the Lord opened the donkey's mouth, and it came to Balaam, what have I done to you to make you beat me these 3 times? Balaam answered the donkey, you have made a fool of me. If only I had a sword in my hand, I would kill you right now. The donkey said to Balaam, Am I not your own donkey, which you have always ridden to this day? Have I been in the habit of doing this to you? No, he said. Then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with his sword drawn. So he bowed low and fell face down. And the angel of the Lord asked him, Why have you beaten your donkey these 3 times? I have come here to oppose you because your path is a reckless one before me. The donkey saw me and turned away from me these 3 times. If it had not turned away, I would certainly have killed you by now, but I would have spared it. Right? And you can read the rest of the account. But that goes to show, here it is, the donkey is trying to save this man's life, his owner's life. The ass knows his owner, and the donkey's, ox's master's crib. But the donkey's here trying to save Balaam's life. And because Balaam continues to beat it, the Lord opens up the donkey's mouth to be able to speak to Balaam. And Balaam talks back to the donkey. And the donkey explains what the situation is going on. What meds do you think would have inhibited? Where do you even begin here as far as medical observations and diagnoses? All right, because if you ask a heathen, they're going to say, well, he was taking shrooms, and that's what allowed the donkey to take. You see, you don't let heathens grab up the scriptures, or heathen like Israelites. Well, see, that's why we got to do shroom, because, listen, man, it's something called a miracle, something called a phenomenon, something called things in which you cannot easily explain, can't be scientifically explained, because the Most High just made it so. When it began to rain, that was the first time it began to rain. These people had never seen rain, and when Noah said it was going to rain, they mocked him for it. So he built the ark, and then it rained, a phenomenon that never occurred previous to that time, because the dew came from the ground in the morning, and then all of a sudden it rains, and now you got scientists, well, this is why it rains. Listen, man, it rained because the Most High saw it fit to rain, to do something that no one had ever seen before, and all they had to do was trust in the Lord and his men. You see, the Most High is going to do another thing that we never seen before. He's always going to continue to close you in your own disbelief. He's going to lock you in your disbelief, and you're locking yourself in because of your disbelief. Balaam disbelieved that his donkey had the ability to see angels and things like that. Balaam disbelieved that the Most High had the ability to open his donkey's mouth. He never would have thought. But because the purpose of the Lord shall stand over all, the Most High will do what he needs to do to protect who he needs to protect. And whatever miracle that involves, he will do it. He's the king of terrors. He's also the king of these miracles, king of deliverances. And he knows how to deliver the godly men out of persecution and preserve his elect. So, Lord willing, this video is edifying. All of that jazz that you're going to hear, you're going to continue to hear it. Well, this is what happens when you're off your meds. We'll ask him about Abraham. Should he have taken meds? Should Balaam have taken meds? All right, so Elisha had taken meds, and then you can name thousands of other accounts from the scriptures of what would meds have done for these men who just needed to believe and have faith. Lord willing, this video is edifying. Till next time, shalom.